What's up guys, Jay's 2 cents here. We're gonna do a talking head video. We haven't done one of those in a while, and we're in our Bees set. A lot of you guys were like, you built a set and you never even use it anymore. Well, I heard you when we're using it. So feel free to minimize and just listen. There's nothing to really show on the screen, but we're gonna talk about some stuff that I think is important to talk about. I've told you all the reasons why right now is a great time to build or buy a computer. But there's two sides to every coin. So today we're gonna talk about all the reasons why you shouldn't buy a computer or build one right now.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. Bring you iFixit by the makers of iFixit. Got a crappy graphics card? That's okay. Fix it with iFixit. iFixit has all the tools you need to make your life better. Got a dirty phone screen? That's okay. You can fix it with iFixit. Thirsty? That's okay. Fix that thirst with iFixit. Refreshing. Use iFixit to fix your computer or even just upgrade it. Oh, iFixit can fix anything, even this and this. Got a problem with your friend? Fix him too with iFixit. They'll appreciate it. Guaranteed.
Disclaimer, iFixit does not actually cause spills, fix friends, fix cars, fix tires, or fix things that are not designed to be fixed with iFixit tools. But that's okay, because iFixit is cool anyway.
To find out more, click the link in the description below.
Yeah, iFixit Explosion.
All right, so today I'm gonna talk about what Phil and I have kind of come up with as the top 5 reasons you may not want to build or buy a computer right now. There's two sides to every coin, and we are PC enthusiasts around here, and we are advocates for build your own as well as buy a computer if you're not comfortable with it, to kind of get your feet wet in a really fun hobby. And it's more popular today than it's ever been with the rise of live streaming, just amazing AAA titles coming out, really good indie titles also, and just the advancement of hardware has made gaming on PC just better than it's ever been, in my opinion. Now, some of you may not agree, but that's my opinion. It's Jay's 2 cents. It's the name is up there. You know what you get when you come, okay, whatever. But we've done a lot of pieces around here as to why you should build and buy a computer, but we're gonna clearly take this from a double-ended perspective, as all topics are, and give you some food for thought. So reason number 1, and these are in no particular order, but I think they're important nonetheless. Reason number 1 is the fact that power supplies, for some odd reason, have become scarce. We noticed this several months ago, back in January actually, or maybe it was even December. Whenever it was that we went to Micro Center and we built that computer in their lab, I don't know what the date was, but we noticed finding a power supply was, well, there was a lot less to choose from. And we also noticed that the average price of them was up. Now, we just assumed that had to do with tariffs and stuff, because that was before any of the issues started happening around the world that we're currently dealing with right now with human malware. We hadn't really seen any affected pricing yet, but we noticed a shortage, and we just assumed it might have been tariff related. But as time went on, if you go and look right now, you go to Newegg, or you go to Amazon, and you put in power supply, you're gonna find a really weird result in that you're not finding all the main brands and the main players that are normally in the power supply market, and if the ones that they're gonna show out of stock, and the ones that are in stock are gonna be really undesirable wattages, like 400 watt power supplies, 450 watts, or like 1600 watts. The ones that are on the outer edges of the spectrum, where typically people shop at like the 500 to 700 watt mark, is just completely obliterated when it comes to availability. And we're not seeing any relief in sight. It's only gotten worse. And it's kind of funny, like at Newegg, I had to even put like notify me on several power supply brands and wattages so I could just see how often they're being replenished. And I haven't gotten a single notification yet. And I know the notification system is kind of spotty at best, but I've not seen any notifications of them being back in stock. And that's kind of scary. So if you are gonna build a system right now, you're gonna pay a premium on it because of supply and demand. And as I already said, the prices were going up prior to that anyway because of other economic reasons. So that makes it a hard one, because if you can't get your power supply, you can't finish your system. And you don't want to cheap out on your power supply. It's what sends all the volts to all your parts. And if that screws up, well, you're gonna be building a new computer anyway. Now, another reason why you may not want to build or buy a computer right now is the fact that we are literally on the razor's edge of new launches when it comes to CPUs. Now, AMD has been pretty much like clockwork every single year, releasing Zen Plus, Zen 2, and we know Zen 3 is already being worked on, and we'll probably see that later this year, the 4000 series. But we also know, literally, like days from now, we're gonna finally see the performance figures drop, and the embargo is gonna lift on all the Intel 10th gen stuff. And if you're not even interested in buying the latest generation stuff, there are millions of people out there like myself who are snobs and want the latest gen stuff. So what that means is you're gonna find the used market just get flooded with lightly used previous generation hardware that's probably going to be more than enough for you, but you can save an awful lot of money. Because we already showed how the 3300X is basically a 7700K when it comes to performance, we know that the 10th gen 10300 is basically the same specs as like a 7700K. It's going to reduce the value of some of the older hardware. For instance, a 9900K used right now would still probably fetch about $300 to $250 somewhere around thereabouts. Let's say an average of $275, which is a great deal because the processor was north of $400, almost $500. But if we now know that the 10600K at the, roughly 200 and some change, we'll have to put that on the screen, I remember exactly what it is, means now you can't sell a 9900K for that because I would just go buy a new 10600K. Although it will require a new motherboard, that's a whole nother discussion. In terms of performance of the CPU and its value, things are going to have to push downward. Because of the CPU competition happening, it means you have way more choices, way more SKUs, which is going to make the used market even more beneficial for people to build or buy a new computer. So I would at least wait until those figures come out and the reviews and the benchmarks and people start buying. You're going to see them popping up on all sorts of forums for sale, OfferUp, eBay, all that. Just make sure whoever you buy it from, you trust that person. At the very least, if you can see it running before they take the CPU out, do that. Because unfortunately, during this is also when a lot of scams and a lot of shady stuff tends to happen in the used market. It's one of the reasons why we've never done a used PC build around here, because I don't really want to set someone up to potentially be taken advantage of, but that's a risk you take with used hardware no matter what. Unless you know the person, then obviously do that. So piggybacking off of number 2, number 3, the same thing's going to be happening with graphics cards. Now look, at the time of filming this video, Jensen Huang, founder and CEO of NVIDIA, is set to do a keynote at GTC on May 14th. So by the time you guys see this video, that will have already happened. So everything I'm saying right now is with zero knowledge of what that keynote is about. I don't think it's about a new family of graphics cards. There's a lot of buzz right now going around of people predicting that it's going to be something to do with Turing 2 or whatever they're calling it. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Turing has been around long enough. I think with how popular graphics card sales are right now, you can ask any AIB partner, the Turing architecture has sold out constantly. 2080 Ti's come in, they're gone. But $1,500 graphics card for a custom one or $1,200 for a Founders, that's way too much. They sell out every single day. Same thing happens with all the way down to the 2060s, 2060 Supers and up. The RTX family and the Turing graphics cards continue to just sell out. And as soon as they're back in stock, they're gone again. And yeah, you can still find them in stock. It's not like when they were new and they were really hard to find. It's just you are gonna find plenty of SKUs that are truly showing out of stock. And if they continue to sell like that, NVIDIA doesn't have the incentive to come out with a new family of graphics cards because those sales will slow down. They could probably keep the price high by coming out with a new family of graphics cards, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what we're gonna see at GTC. I think what we're gonna see potentially here in the next, I don't wanna give a time prediction, but I would say maybe within the next couple months, we might finally see AMD's promised Big Navi be delivered. Big Navi is supposed to be the competition that's gonna have potentially DXR or real-time ray tracing. It's gonna compete with NVIDIA's top-end Turing architecture. And I don't think NVIDIA is gonna bother coming out with a new architecture until we see something concrete on when AMD is coming out with their architecture because of, well, coming out with their Big Navi, because of competition. I think they're gonna wanna do a whole product restack pricing change across the board like they did when Radeon 7 came out. And I think that we're not gonna see that happen, but we do know it's coming. We do know that the new graphics cards for both sides are coming. And nothing hurts more than to buy a new piece of hardware and then be right outside that return policy and then the new thing is announced. Unless you're the kind of person that's like, hey, I bought it, it meets my needs, I'm happy with what I paid, I don't care about having the latest stuff, then you'll be fine. Kind of like the amount of people that bought 9900Ks, even though I made a video saying, wait, don't buy a 9900K right now, and then people did, and then our video about 10th gen came out, and they're like, oh man, I bought a 9900K, now I can't. Yeah, I know, people don't listen to us, but that's okay. Something's gonna happen this year, and I think by the fall, we might see new NVIDIA graphics cards, because that'll be about the 2-year mark for Turing architecture to be out. Although I could be wrong, we may wait till next spring, because NVIDIA did go 2.5 years on Pascal architecture. So yeah, who knows? If you're the kind of person that's worried about having the latest gen and you don't want something to come out and suddenly make you feel bad, then you'd probably want to wait. And the same thing's going to happen to the used market on graphics cards that we just described with processors. When people like me are like, I want a new graphics card, you're going to find lightly used, good condition used hardware at probably half of what the graphics card cost when it was new or less. Now, if you're one of those people that I just described that has to have the latest and greatest hardware, there's something that happens when the whole new generation is launched, and that is a period of instabilities and or BIOS updates and just weird, picky wonkiness. I can tell you, when I moved from X99 to X299, it was a rough patch. There were weird, constant boot cycles. I would have like a system that just suddenly didn't want to boot and would give me weird like CMOS errors, and then you had to clear CMOS and then reflash it sometimes, and it was a complete pain in the ass. And I know that every time I ever talked about that, of course, everyone's like, well, that's what happens when you adopt bleeding edge technology. You're the one that's bleeding. And if you're not the person that is comfortable with that, and you're considering getting new Intel, or this happens with AMD every time, guaranteed every time AMD it takes a little while there for it to go through a maturing process of the BIOS, graphics drivers as well on their side. I can tell you right now that you'll want to wait. You'll want to wait probably a good 90 days or more until all the BIOS bugs and stuff have been worked out, because no matter what, I don't care if it's ASUS, EVGA, Gigabyte, MSI, no matter how much they're going to tell you, stable driver or stable BIOS, every single time they have to come out with some sort of a BIOS revision shortly after launches that, once again, improved stability. And it's something that happens with new families of motherboards, and the new Z490 stuff is not going to be any exception. They can test in a lab with as many computers as they like, but once they go out into the wild and you have mass production and you've got 1 million people suddenly using it, or let's just be realistic, 100,000 people suddenly using it, weird problems are going to crop up with different combinations of hardware that they can't possibly test for everything for, and you're going to find weird wonkiness happen. So if you are not comfortable with that, then you're definitely going to want to wait until those bugs have been worked out. I'm speaking from experience. I'm the kind of person that before I had Phil working for me and him able to handle his own machine, because he's an enthusiast as well, I don't have to worry about keeping him up and running. When I had my own machines and I was doing all my own editing and stuff, and I'm the kind of, okay, I'm going to build a new editing rig and I'm going to do all this and brand new stuff, and then suddenly nothing's working right. Yeah, it's a painful period of time. Now with my systems that I build now, because I don't run my business off of those, we have different systems dedicated for just that, which is really nice. It's okay for me to have to deal with some of the wonkiness, because it brings back some of the fun enthusiast aspect of working out those problems, figuring out what's going on, because I get to make content about it. But yeah, the average person, probably not going to be happy with that. And last but not least, and probably the most compelling reason why you may want to wait right now when it comes to building or buying a new computer, is just uncertainty in the economy. It's a scary time right now for making big expenditures. And if you are not set up, everyone's financial situation is obviously very, very different. And if you have to take away from living expenses to be able to afford a new computer, and it's not I don't even want to say the E word because I'm sick of hearing it, but if it's not a necessary purchase for you to make your living, then it's probably not the right time. If you can make do with what you've already got and continue to save money just to have it for a rainy day, and it's raining right now, not physically, but metaphorically, then it's probably time to wait. At the very least, until you can get some of the great deals that are going to be popping up and sales of new old gen, and even deeper discounts on used old gen, then it probably wouldn't be a smart purchase to build or buy a new computer right now if your financial situation is even somewhat near your means. What I mean by that is, if you're making enough money to live, but nothing beyond that, building and buying a computer right now is not the right thing to do. Like I said, unless your living depends on it. If you're a programmer, or you're a developer, or you're some sort of indie developer or something, and you rely on contracts and stuff, working for people as a contractor to write software or do SQL Server, whatever it may be. And I'm talking specific scenarios that I used to deal with at my old company. We had contractors that worked for us. You don't need it. You don't need it. I mean, for example, if you already have a system that's playing games and the settings are good and you're happy with it, games aren't getting any harder to run right now. PC hardware is moving faster than game technology can actually utilize it. Think about how, it wasn't that long ago when people were yelling, you don't need more than 4 cores in your computer, games just don't use it. We're just now catching up to multi-threaded gaming performance. So I feel like game developers usually are lagging 3+ years behind hardware because that's how long it takes for them to really develop and utilize and make it efficient for the new stuff. So you probably don't need that new purchase. But I mean, we all want new things. And it's gonna be up to you to determine what need versus want weighs out and which is important to you and what your situation is. But that's probably the most compelling reason, is just the economic uncertainty and the fact that cash is king at the moment and you want to hang on to it. That's old learned Jay. He's gotten rid of a lot of his old ways. Take it from somebody that used to be in debt up to my eyeballs and above that. I was literally drowning in debt 5-6 years ago. And it's one of those things where I clawed my way out of there and I don't want to go back there. So if you're in that position right now, I can tell you right now, this is future mature Jay talking to old Jay. You don't need that thing you just bought. But Jay, you just got a project car. Yeah, but that's a business expense. You don't know me, just like I don't know you. Everyone's situation is different, and just be smart about what you spend your money on right now. So anyway, I just wanted to do this talking head video, kind of giving you guys some things to think about maybe it's not the right time to build your computer. Maybe you're sitting there like me and you pondered these purchases and you lose sleep over it and you go, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then you put it in your cart, you're like, no, I don't know if I should. These are just some things to maybe consider. It's very normal to go back and forth and not know what you want to do. That's human nature, I think. I don't know. I don't know humans very well. I'm not a humanologist, so. Humanologist? Just turn the camera off now.